955-2423.
It's time for the Playmaker Spotlight with Executive Coach and Vistage Chair, Dick Smith.
Well, welcome once again to the Playmaker Spotlight, the part of Get Down to Business, where we speak to CEOs and business owners and share their stories and best practices with you. Playmakers is brought to you in part by Vistage, the world's largest CEO advisory board organization. And I am your host, Dick Smith, the CEO business coach and award-winning chair for Vistage International. And tonight, I have a very special guest with us. His name is Don Adams. He's the CEO of Dale Carnegie Chicago, headquartered in Downers Grove. And I'm going to read a little bit from their website. Founded in 1912, Dale Carnegie Training has evolved from one man's belief in the power of self-improvement to a performance-based training company with offices worldwide, over 200, I understand. Dale Carnegie Training focuses on giving people in business the opportunity to sharpen their skills and improve their performance in order to build positive, steady, and profitable results. Dale Carnegie Training emphasizes practical principles and processes by designing programs that offer people the knowledge, the skills, and the practices they need to add value to their business. So once again, here's a guy with over 30 years' experience in Dale Carnegie, as he owns the Chicago market. He's the CEO of the Dale Carnegie Chicago, Don Adams. Welcome to our show.
Good evening, Dick. Thanks. Appreciate the opportunity to be with you.
Glad to have you. Hey, give us the brief CNN version of Dale Carnegie and how you got involved and where you're at today.
Well, I got involved by actually taking a program when I was a part of an organization that offered it to their employees. Actually, about 10 years previously, I'd read the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it was very influential and investigated taking it at that time. I was traveling too much and wasn't able to do it.
Is that still the number one book on the
It's the number one best-selling nonfiction book other than the Bible ever printed.
There you go. I've
Still
read it myself. 30 years ago, I read it, and I still refer to it.
So anyway, it started with the book and then the program, and I had an opportunity. They invited me to get involved in their instructor development program, which was an avocational sort of a thing. And as I got into that, I thought, wow, if this is so exciting, on an avocational basis, I wonder what kind of career opportunities there are. Yeah. And so I made the jump from kind of the finance technical area into being a sales guy for Dale Carnegie in Northwest Indiana.
No kidding. So now today, 30 years later or so?
35 years later.
35 years later. So how many employees you have in Chicago and office trainers, all that stuff?
We have about between 25 and 30 employees, including our part-time facilitators and sales team. And we cover the metropolitan area of Chicago from Wisconsin down in a couple of counties in Indiana.
Okay, all the way south to Kankakee. And probably, do you go
out beyond the Fox Valley?
Okay.
So, we've got, if you look at a map of the greater metropolitan area of Chicago, that's where we focus.
So there's a lot of companies offering training. Obviously, Dale Carnegie leads the pack as the biggest name. But really, tell me, what do you think your differentiation is for Dale Carnegie and the rest of your competitors?
I was just in a meeting in Phoenix last week, and we were talking about what really is the competitive edge that we have and how can we communicate that. And I think a lot of what it comes down to is the people who are facilitating our programs. Mm-hmm. It takes quite a bit of effort to develop a facilitator because it's not just being a subject matter expert. It's really being a people expert.
There you go.
And our trainers are very perceptive in identifying, helping people see their own strengths they often don't see them in themselves, and giving them the key to kind of unlock the spark that allows that potential to be fulfilled. And so I really think it comes down to perceptive facilitators. Right. I think it's very practical in terms of it's not just educational, but we're training people on skill sets that they can use. And it's transformational. Once people begin to develop those skills and see the increase in performance, it can literally change their lives.
There you go. Good for you. And so it's quite a bit about train the trainer, make sure you got the best people out there, right?
You got to have the best people in front of the room.
Yeah. Now, how many different programs do you guys offer? Dozens, I'm sure. Yeah,
dozens of programs. And, when I look at what we do best, what we do best, I believe, is supporting individuals in their communication skills, their ability to deal effectively with people, to handle adversity, to build confidence. For companies, I believe that the the thing we contribute to them is helping them develop their leaders, particularly their emerging leaders, helping them engage their employees at a higher level so that the discretionary effort of their employees is focused on the vision of the organization as opposed to surfing the internet.
And there goes the return on investment through the roof if it all works, right?
That's the competitive edge.
So, hey, if you're just tuning in, this is the Get Down to Business Playmaker Spotlight, brought to you in part by Vistage International. And I am your host, Dick Smith, Vistage Chair. And we're talking to Don Adams, CEO of Dale Carnegie Chicago. So, Don, what does your ideal customer look like? I mean, are you small, large, in between, everything?
You know, we have two segments that we deal with. Individuals come to us because they want to improve their performance. Okay. And typically, those are individuals who are willing to commit the time and effort necessary to literally become the person they've always dreamed of being, helping them fulfill their potential. We work with a lot of companies. Most of the companies that we deal with are, I'd say they're folks who are growth-oriented. They want to continue to grow. They're optimistic about the future. They're not just waiting for things to happen. Yeah. Most often, they've got pretty good people in place, and they just recognize that the growth of their organization in the future is going to be dependent on how rapidly they're able to grow their people and particularly to grow their leaders.
Gotcha. Tell me a little bit about culture. You hear a lot about culture today. Do you guys talk about culture in your training? You train culture? Can you even train culture?
I think that's one of the primary responsibilities of a leader, is a leader really creates and reinforces the culture.
There you go.
And, my observation has been that successful companies have people who are really committed to being part of a winning team, but they also want to be viewed as contributing members of a winning team. And so when you can create a culture where people feel like they're joining something special, something bigger than themselves, they've got a reason to come to work other than just getting their paycheck, on payday, they're contributing and they're being recognized for contributing. Yeah. That's the kind of atmosphere and culture that people thrive in and companies thrive.
Yeah, one of my favorite authors, contemporary authors, is Daniel Pink in the book Drive. I suspect you're familiar with that, where he says you got to recognize their technical mastery. They want to own the job. They don't want to be micromanaged, and you have to embrace the passion for the job and the vision of the company. So that's really cool. I'm glad to hear that. So tell me about change. With 24/7 technology, change is out there like crazy all the time. How do you guys deal with change for your customers? How do you deal as a company with the ever-changing environment? I assume there's a lot of online training that you compete with, and do you have your own?
We have our own, and we do digital training. I think change is a constant. It seems like, roughly a generation ago, it was like, well, change was unusual. Then it just became part of the culture. And I really think that one of the things that leaders need to do is to recognize that change is going to happen, but not cause them to lose sight of what their vision is. Your vision is long-term. You may need to adapt your strategies and plans of action, but don't lose sight of your vision. There's so much clutter, there's so much noise out there that I think one of the things that CEOs need to do is make certain that they're focusing on the things that make a difference, that they keep focused on the things that they're best at, and they keep reinforcing the direction of their organization so that they're not distracted by all the clutter out there.
Yeah, I call it having an agile strategy with an agile execution, right? I mean,
absolutely, but don't lose sight of the vision. Don't lose sight of the goal. Don't lose sight of what you got into the business for, what you're really good at. And as you said, we need to be agile, but focused.
Right. Say, I'm really sorry. It looks like we're just about out of time, and I wanted to make sure that we got information as to where people can get a hold of you, Don, personally, and or hear more about Dale Carnegie Chicago. So is that your website?
Our website is www.chicago.dalecarnegie.com.
Okay.
And you can reach our corporate office at 630-971-1900.
Well, great. Well, listen, I've really enjoyed having you. Hopefully we can do this again at some point in the future. You've been a great interview. And I want to tell our audience that this is going to be my last show for the year as we're ending the year here. And I take my typical sabbatical for the winter months in my home in Phoenix as often as possible. Sorry you folks stuck here. I don't mind to make you jealous.
Can we come visit?
Absolutely. Come on down. But look to hear or be on the air again sometime in April of 2016. So, again, thanks for being with us as an audience. This has been the Playmaker Spotlight with Dick Smith, your CEO business coach, and you can get a hold of me at dick.smith@vistagechair.com or look me up on LinkedIn, and I'd be happy to communicate with you. So stay tuned now for more of Get Down to Business with my good friend Shalom Klein. Take care now, everybody.
So the attack in San